So I have a serious question, and this is for all the fuckwits out there who, no, let's keep it clean. Let's keep it clean. Let's try and win hearts and minds instead of upset some very unintelligent people. And let's ask a few questions. I've now put up over 2,500 videos, something that not many people have done. A lot of people are on the internet talking about how to train, but I've actually put up over 2,500 videos. You have to excuse the dog that keeps coming in and out. He's a pet. He's not a very highly skilled gun dog, although he's a gun dog breed. You have to excuse him. He may pop in every now and again. So back to what I was talking about. If my way of training is so abusive and so damaging for the lovely dogs that we train, why are people not coming forward with dogs that I've trained and saying, I sent this dog to Chris Upton and he ruined it and it's never been the same since, or we had to have it put down because it took over? Why aren't people coming forward and explaining this to you? And I'll tell you why. They're not out there. Because I've put a video up this morning and my wife said, well, you shouldn't be putting that video up because it shows that your training doesn't work if people don't keep it up. That's why I'm on here, to show you that if you don't actually keep up the training, it doesn't matter who trains the dog will go backwards in its training. It's as simple as that. Just because I train dogs, it doesn't mean they don't lose the ability. They don't forget certain things, but they'll run in if you don't reinforce it on the odd occasion, or you haven't got your timing right and they don't understand the commands because you've messed them up. The idea is you've got to keep up the training. It's as simple as that. But going back to why I started off being slightly abusive towards the idiots out there, let's take my bunny boiler. My bunny boiler believes that you can train dogs with love and affection only, and just a growl every now and again with your voice, or a change of tone in your voice. And yet it runs off to every trainer in the country, all the top trainers it's been to, and it still couldn't train a dog to save its life to a good standard. Average? Well, that's your decision. You'd have to decide that. But at the end of the day, she hasn't achieved what she wanted to achieve, but she's caused more problems in this country and other countries by her abusive, slanderous lies that she tells people. She tells people that I run bogus accounts and that I praise myself on these accounts, pretending to be somebody else. Total fabrication of the truth. Do you think I'm not man enough to stand up and say what I feel? I think I've proved that. So you can either believe me or not believe me, but that is a total fabrication of the truth. I don't need to pretend I'm somebody else to send myself messages of approval. If people send me messages of approval and they write something, that's their own decision. And my question is this: if she knows everything and she runs a YouTube channel that says that she's so-and-so gun dogs, why isn't she famous and wonderfully happy with people lined up coming out the door? Because I guarantee if you've got a method that works without any discipline at all, no correction at all, you would be so busy that you would not have time to worry about what other people are doing. You'd be so busy, people would be queuing up at your door to train with you. Even though you're not a film star in the dog training world, they would be queuing up if you could actually advertise the fact and show videos, put up 2,500 videos plus, of you and the dogs working well without any correction, only positive. I don't care if it's treat training, clicker training, any form of training. If you can train dogs without any discipline to the standard that I can train and to the standard of the control that we have to have over these dogs, you would have people coming out and staying with you. You're a lonely, sad person who lives out in the wilderness and does nothing but cause trouble on the internet because of your lack of integrity. You've been proved to be a hate campaigner, and yet you're still going on and on and on about the way I train and how cruel it is and how the dogs are affected. Show me one dog or find one client that has had a trained dog trained by me, right, and they're not happy. Show me one dog that is mentally scarred and won't do this or won't do that because of the way I've trained them. My training proves that you can discipline a dog if you use discipline the way I use discipline at the right time. Anybody can bully a dog into anything. Anybody can suppress a dog with training. Anybody can be a regimental obedience trainer, right? And I see it all the time. I see dogs that are robots. You can teach them tricks. You can teach them to sit down, stand up, drop the ball, leave that ball, break away from that. Fantastic. All round you, it's easy. Go and do it on a shoot, like I do it, day in, day out, with the temptation that we put these dogs under. And then say, how do you do that? Because my dogs aren't affected by having discipline used to them. But the whole point is this. It's really, really simple to rubbish other people on the internet. If you want to debate with me, anybody, come and debate with me. I'll have open debate so the whole world can see it. You want to debate with me, all you have to do is pick up that phone and debate with me. But the one thing I will do is I'll record it. And the reason I'll record it is then you can't say, he became stroppy with me. He threatened me. Nobody's got any recordings of me threatening them or being stroppy with them. Yes, I like to say what I feel, and I'm a free thinker. If I offend you and I re-listen to the video or watch the tape and I think, hang on, I was a little bit brash there, I was a little bit too forward with that person, I'm one of the first people who can say, I'm sorry, I perhaps pushed it a little bit too far. I have my ideology and I am showing you how I train dogs. I don't care how the trial world train dogs anymore, because at the end of the day, how I train dogs is how I'm showing you how I train dogs. The trial world has not backed me. There's very few in the trial world who've publicly backed me and said, we use these methods and they work, and what Chris Upton's done is no worse than anybody else. But I understand why people don't want to get up there and say something in public, because they'll be bitched and got at like people get at me. Now I have to be strong enough to accept that, because if you're going to put your head above the parapet, you've got to be fired at. And it's the same as this A-panel judge on this sports channel that rubbished my method of training without even looking at it. She's gone into hiding. She's got into hiding because she doesn't want to answer any of the questions. She's been got at, and she's been got at because people have said, Jesus Christ, what are you doing? You're dropping us all in it. He hasn't done anything seriously wrong in those videos, and yet why did you get involved in making a documentary or a video a series of whether it's acceptable or not acceptable? Because at the end of the day, you can agree or disagree, but you've got to be able to put your head above the parapet and take the criticism if you go public. And she went public. She went public with it. That was her choice. No one forced her into it. She thought, great, I'll get some advertising here. So she jumped on the bandwagon and thought, yeah, if I rubbish him and say that my methods are kind and affectionate and loving, right, that she'll get further on. She'll get more business. And that's what this world is all about. It's about business. That A-panel status is really deserved in some cases with these judges. And some of these judges are fantastic people. Some of these judges correct dogs like I do. And some might not correct dogs like I do. But we don't go around rubbishing each other for what we do. Some people use electric collars. Other people don't use electric collars. Some people will use a prong collar. Other people don't use prong collars. At the end of the day, unless you've studied something and looked into it deeply, how do you know it works or not works? What I keep saying, and I've been saying it for the last 2 years, is if you've got testimony of proof of you can train dogs to a fantastic standard, a number of dogs, problem dogs, soft dogs, hard dogs, stubborn dogs, dogs that have been messed up, and you can train them with love and affection and love and affection only, or positive training with treats and a clicker, and you can get them to the standard that we can get them, and the dogs that we have to deal with, I'll drop all my methods of training and become a disciple of the way you train. But until someone comes up with something that's so fantastic and so groundbreaking, I have to continue what I'm doing. But what you're going to do in a minute, you're going to drive people over to other tools to train dogs. If you attack people and say that's unacceptable, you can't do that, you'll drive all this underground. And that's what this bunny boiler doesn't realise. She has driven debate underground by managing a debate with a bunch of idiots that have gone out of their way to try and rubbish somebody on the back of nothing really, because at the end of the day it's not worked. It's had an effect on my business for a number of years, but I'm strong enough to stand up and say nope, I'm proud of the standard I can train a dog. I'm proud of the understanding and the technology and the thought and the research and the psychology that I put into dog training, and have moved forward vastly in my knowledge. So when the clubs were asking me to do demonstrations for them, all the Gundog clubs, and seminars, and explain in front of a number of novice people and experienced people and people who've been to the championship, how I get the response from the dogs that I do and how great and happy they look, that was 15 years ago. 15 years ago, I was nowhere near as good as a trainer as I am now, but I'm only as good as how much I study, evaluate, practice, learn, and achieve success as I do achieve success. And one of the things that I keep telling people is I used to be able to train dogs quicker, not because I was younger, but because I used more force. Now, right, it takes longer to train dogs the way I train dogs, but I get a happier dog for it. So I've moved forward, and yet the positive movement haven't, because they started this positive movement 20 odd years ago thinking you can train every dog with a clicker and a treat bag, right, and get fantastic results for it. And they've now realised that there's only a small percentage that dogs will follow, right? You can only con a dog for so long, and you can only con a person for so long. You might be able to take money off them for 20 sessions, but when they realise they're not getting anywhere, they go and look for another trainer. And when these people come to me, who have been told that I'm a bully, I'm aggressive, I'm objective against people, I'm judgmental, I bully people, I'm rude to people, you'll never get anywhere with him, stay away from him. And then they start training with me and they start getting results very, very quickly, but they start to understand the positive side of my training. But they also understand that it's the negative side. So we're talking about positive punishment, negative punishment. We're talking about fun-based training. We're talking about a number of ways to train the dog. I can show you probably 20 different ways to train a dog for a certain procedure, and yet I have to show you the best way. I can show you the quick way, I can show you the long-term best way. The idea is I'm not having to do it for the money, although I have to earn a living. The money is not the most important factor here, because the most important factor to me is the dog and the client. And that's why I'm being viewed so much on the internet and other dog trainers aren't, because a lot of other dog trainers are pulling the wool over people's eyes. They're saying they can do it, but can they put up their videos and show it? But not only can they put up their videos and show it, do they allow you to come along and watch it? Because I do, because I've got nothing to hide. So you can come along and you can watch me train dogs day in, day out. The only thing I'm going to ask you to do for doing that is to pay. Let's see how much determination you've got. Let's see how much commitment that you've got. Because we've now moved on to a new stage. We've got accommodation here for people to come from all over the world and watch me train dogs. Why? Because I've got nothing to hide, but you're going to pay for the privilege. So if you want to learn how to become a good dog trainer and learn to sort out soft dogs, hard dogs, mid-paced dogs, dogs with so much desire and drive that you won't believe, or you want to create that drive and desire or suppress that drive and desire, then you can contact me, because that's my job. I'm taking this to a new level. And so I'm calling you people out there who have rubbished me and give me bad news, bad feedback because of your slanderous lies and your comments. I'm saying to you, there isn't people out there who I've trained dogs for and they've not been happy. Because one thing that I've learned years and years ago is customer satisfaction is important. And if the customer's not satisfied and you take money off people and you don't give them the dog that they want, guess what happens? Word spreads rapidly about these sort of things, and that does nobody's business any good. But it's not out there. All that is out there is crap rumours that idiots have to peddle because they can't train dogs to the level that I do. So they rubbish me under any circumstances what they can get their hands on. If I went down the road and got caught speeding, I guarantee it'd be plastered all over the internet. Man chases dog with car. Right? Because that's what they do. They try and rubbish you to such an extent. When I took an 8-panel judge back at a trial, and it was beginning of the trial when he was rude and aggressive towards my daughter and myself when she was a youngster, and I said, let's go back to the car park and sort it out like men. He ran round the trial, reported me to the chief steward, wanted to make a massive thing of it that I'd threatened him. I had threatened him. I threatened him to take it back to the car park and we could have sorted it out like men. And the reason that I did that is I didn't want to cause a confrontation at the trial. But he did. He started it. He kicked off. He took me to the kennel club. He reported me to the kennel club. The kennel club investigated. And the kennel club said I didn't have anything to prosecute. They didn't have anything to prosecute me or throw me off the club for ungentlemanly conduct. But they didn't like my behaviour. And it wasn't the place to actually tell somebody that you're going to take them back to the car park and you could sort it out like real men if you wanted to. Because at the end of the day, you have to be seen to have gentlemanly conduct. And that's what I've done all my trial career, all my working career. I've tried to be a gentleman. But on the odd occasion when somebody provokes you to such an extent, you have a right to defend yourself. So I've nothing to hide, nothing to worry about. I've not been banned from any field trial society. I've never been banned from a club other than I had a 10-year suspension because I exposed a number of cheats on a committee and they didn't like it, so they got the rest of the committee to turn against me, and the rest of the committee didn't have the balls to stand up to them. And I understand why, because of the extent of the bullying that went on. And at the end of the day, I don't want to go on and on and on about all this, but there's nothing out there that I'm ashamed of in my trial career, in my working gun dog career. No one's perfect. I've done things in my early youth that I'm not proud of, but I've moved on. I've become a far better person. And as for having the guns taken off me, right, I've got my guns here. I'll open the cabinet and show you them if you really want me to show you them, that, you know, just to prove that I've got them here. But you can either believe me or not believe me. At the end of the day, the guns are on the premises. And they're on the premises because I've got a shotgun license, and at the end of the day I abide by the law and the rules of the land. because I don't want to lose my guns. And at the end of the day, when people say he's threatened me, he's abusive, he was rude to me down the phone, I have a right to defend myself within the limits of the law. And all I want to do in life is get on and do what I love doing. So please, if you've got something, bring it up and let's debate it. But you haven't got anything, so you're wasting your time, you're wasting my time, and all you're trying to do is get some fame and fortune for yourself at my expense. So I'm going to end it here on this video and say to you, why don't you go and get on with your life and start putting up videos of how to train dogs? Because I'm watching you as much as you're watching me.